Previously on No Reserves Radio.
Oh my God, Angelo! Come on, have some self-respect. The Eagles can't hurt you if you don't constantly pander to them.
Here's the biggest indictment of Dame that I can say. Dame has been so off this year that Ren went on live air and said Jalen Brunson deserved an all-star start over him.
You are now Angelo Didululo.
Do you think it is possible that the management of the Memphis Grizzlies are just buying into the reckless youth movement and they got rid of the one person in the locker room that probably was telling Ja to knock it off?
Because he's taken advantage of me multiple times when I was younger. That sounded bad. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're correct in that assessment.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Angelo. With me, as always, is Alex. And Alex has not been a good 2 weeks for us, friend. It has not been a good 2 weeks for us.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Turns out we're still alive. What's happening? Some of you might have thought that the football show is no more because we didn't record for
It's
two
2
straight
weeks.
weeks. Yeah, but it's still 2 important weeks. Like, the people have a right to know. We're still around. We just, couldn't really mix up the schedules. Holidays came in, Christmas,
Yeah.
New Year's.
Yeah.
A bit hectic. And when we were going to record, we were both sick as heck. Or in this case, Angelo's significant other was sick. I was sick. He was just
Well, I
getting
did
a
get
bit
sick.
better. But it happened after you were a bit better. But it was just in that transition period. So
My mother-in-law, actually. So I only missed 1 day of work when I got sick. My mother-in-law got what I got. And she's like, I had no idea how you only missed 1 day of work. I was like, oh.
it feels like the cold season has been really hitting a lot of people. Like, everyone I know
Yeah.
got sick this year. Like, that's not the norm. Every client that I talk to at work has been getting sick as well. So it's really wild right now. But it seems like this massive spree of cold is eating everyone. We got hit with it as well.
2 weeks.
Yeah. But how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? Did you have fun?
Pretty good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a lot of fun. I had copious amounts of alcohol. What do you like to drink for the holiday seasons? They do a Christmas ale over here stateside that is sold basically. Multiple brewing companies do it. It's a Christmas ale. It's spiced beer, basically. What do you guys do over there for Christmas?
It's mostly wine.
Wine?
It's really that. Yeah, it's just like regular old red wine. And it's not really anything fancy like that, like you guys have, but you guys have 1,000 things for Christmas.
Yeah, we do.
Your holiday traditions are quite all over the place, versus ours were much more restricted. It's also a different country, but it's mostly wine that people drink here alongside their meals, and just to have the appetizer here or there as well. It's mostly that. We focus a bit more on food than anything else because we are a very food-based country. Our culinary is up there in terms of our traditions. So we do focus a bit more on food. It's just
You
tables
focus
full
more on
of
food.
everything.
You don't even have every brand of soda in your grocery stores. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, the food is not like sodas. I know it's hard for you guys to understand because, what's your typical dish? Is it hamburgers from Hamburg, or is it French fries from France?
Guys.
What's your typical dish there in the US? Let me know. Just let me know, because I can tell you a bunch of them that all have our name in it. You guys are your dishes are just the hamburgers from Hamburg and the French fries from France and the pizza from Italy.
That's great, but we made them better. So are they really from there, or did we just make them better? And now
Are they really better? Are they really better? I don't know. I
Yes,
would have to taste them.
I'm not telling you. If you ever came to America, you would gain at least 20 pounds.
Okay, so let's try and avoid that. Or maybe not, because
This
like
guy
everything is just so expensive in there that maybe I
in
wouldn't pay
America?
this. Yeah, compared to our things, at least
Kidding.
from what I
You're
see
kidding me.
on a day to
You're
day,
kidding.
versus what we get from work and whatnot, our salaries and whatnot. Because if I go there, it won't be with a U.S. salary, right?
Oh, it won't be. You'd be visiting.
Yeah, I'll be the poor man in the U.S.
But there's plenty of those here too.
All right, so Christmas was good, New Year's was good. Did you stay at home for New Year's? Did you like go
Yeah, I
visit
was sick.
family? Oh, okay, okay. I forgot that because I did get a bit better for New Year's.
Everyone was
I managed to get
everyone
away.
was sick on New Year's.
Uh, Regular hold ass, stay at home for New Year's. Everyone's sick, just watching movies and whatnot. I get her.
Ah, oh yeah.
And did you manage to check any NFL football?
I watched the Lions. Basically, that's all I watched was the Lions and their voodoo
There was a
magic.
good Lions game in the like the 2 weeks that we missed, right? If I'm
The
not
Christmas
mistaken,
game,
wasn't there?
the Christmas game
Uh,
with the
I know
Bears.
for yeah, yeah, that one. But that one, no, that one was the shitty one, wasn't it?
No,
Yeah,
because
that
the
one was the
Bears scored a
shitty one.
bunch of points. No, it wasn't. The Bears scored a bunch of points in the second, or was that Thanksgiving?
It
The
scored
Bears
like
scored a bunch of
17
points in the.
points.
Oh, then maybe it was.
I know you're confusing it with Thanksgiving. I was talking
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
Lions Niners game. That one was a bit
Oh
better,
yeah, that one.
at least points wise.
I have no idea how the Lions have so many wins. I'm not gonna lie.
They're a good fucking team.
On the IR, maybe.
Hey, and now they are facing this game this week is a bit wild. It's the Lions. It's the Vikings at the Lions.
For the
And
number one seed.
whoever loses this game is going to be the fifth seed with a 14-3 record.
Damn, that would suck. I'm not gonna lie. We might as well get to the topic. The topic of this episode is going to be lessons learned from this season, and that's actually a good transition to start with because I was so wrong on the Minnesota Vikings. I didn't know, Sam Darnold could be a good quarterback, but apparently he can. The Vikings defense is just amazing, and apparently Justin Jefferson can't carry an offense to relevancy.
Not
Yeah,
only Jefferson, Addison has stepping up. It's been stepping up big time as well, especially as a red zone threat.
when he's healthy, yeah.
Yeah, but he did play most of the games, didn't he? Jefferson. I think Ockerson was the
No,
one
I was
that
talking
missed.
about Addison when he's healthy. Jefferson has played most of the games this year.
No, no, yeah. I was saying, as Addison missed a whole lot of games,
Let's see.
I
I have
wasn't
him.
under the impression that he missed any even. I know
Missed week
Hawkinson
two
missed.
and week three. Yeah, he only missed week two and week three. Wow.
Okay, yeah. And
And he
like if
got
you look
dinged up in
at
weeks 10 and 11.
and if you look at like the last 5 games, he has had 5 touchdowns in those games. 3 in one game, 1 in the other two.
Yeah.
So 5 games and 5 touchdowns in the last 5 games. He's been having a really good red zone threat. And that's really his role here in this offense. He's been working well. The targets are good. So this team is really popping up. I was wrong on them as well, as most people were. I was a bit less wrong than you because if you remember, I did say that I thought the roster was good. But I was banking a bit more on a Sam Darnold 30-30 season, much like the Jameis Winston. And he has actually been fairly consistent in terms of the turnovers. He had a
Yeah,
rough
yeah.
stretch there in the middle of the season. But I mean, right now he's playing at the MVP level again. So
Hmm. That's just honestly crazy to think about it because Sam was literally declared a bust like what, 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago now?
yeah. As you know, like the MVP is usually decided on like the last few weeks of the season. And if you look at Darnold's numbers, like from week 11 on, right now, from week 11 on, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. He has had 6, 11, 12, 18 touchdowns to 2 picks. I mean, he's been playing great. He's been throwing a bunch of touchdowns. He's been winning games. Like,
That's
he's
actually
in the
not the debate
MVP conversation.
I've come across. The debate I've come across when I get like ESPN and different major news networks on my phone is Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. Do you believe that Sam is in the conversation? What is his Vegas odds to win the MVP right now?
I think stats wise, he definitely should be. I'm not gonna lie.
Vegas Insider MVP odds. Number one is Josh Allen. Yeah, no, this guy's not even in the top five.
Darnold isn't in the top five.
Darnold is not in the top five. Your top five are Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley, and Jared Goff.
It's like Jared Goff is in there, but Sam Darnold isn't. Okay.
Funny enough, this tier after Jared Goff is an interesting conversation. It goes Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, and then Patrick Mahomes after that.
Can you tell me why the guy that leads the league in the following categories isn't in that conversation? So this guy leads the league in passes completed, passes attempted, passing yards, passing touchdowns, passing yards per game as well. He also leads the league in pass attempts per game. He leads the league in what else? He leads the league. I believe that's mostly it. But why isn't that guy that leads the league in so many passing categories not in that list?
Good question. I'd
Why isn't he?
argue after your top four, which is Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Saquon. I'd argue the top four are in the top four for name recognition. And I think after that, because right after that, you literally have Jared Goff and Sam Darnold, the two quarterbacks who are going to be playing for the one seed on Monday.
Uh,
I
you actually misunderstood me. I was making a different case here because the
oh
guy that leads the league in all of these categories is Joe Burrow. Why isn't this guy? Because you said that he was in the top five, but I assumed that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson are much closer in terms of odds than Burrow, right?
yeah, oh yeah, there's a huge tier gap between Josh and Lamar and Burrow.
And I'm asking, like, if Joe Burrow makes what a lot of people thought was impossible and gets you guys to the playoffs, why isn't he the MVP?
Well, I 100% think he should be the MVP, and it's actually kind of funny, like watching the people talk about the Josh Allen Lamar Jackson debate because if you're on Lamar Jackson's camp, at least this is what I've witnessed, you're arguing about Lamar Jackson's stats because Lamar Jackson does have better counting stats than Josh Allen in everything except for rushing touchdowns. Last time I recall, Joe Burrow has all of them smoked. like, like,
Yeah. If you look at Josh Allen's placing in terms of passing yards, he's 10th in the league. If you look at his passing touchdowns, he is 6th in the league. If you look at his passer rating, he's 7th in the league. If you look at his passes intercepted, he's like mid of the table here. Not really a whole lot of difference. He is sixth. I was looking at total turnovers. In terms of like the passing interceptions, is 29th. Um, but like the stats that I'm seeing from Josh Allen, just purely looking at them on paper, they are not like MVP level. Like Lamar Jackson should have probably a better case than him in terms of his stats. They are much more impressive. I think Joe Burrow has a better case than Josh Allen. Now, why I think Josh Allen is probably going to win it is because one, he has better record than them. Two,
yeah,
it's also the media narrative. Like Josh Allen has been a guy that has been very close to that award for quite a while now, and
yeah,
with no like clear name taking the lead because either the record isn't there or the stats aren't there. I feel like the media is going to try this home for him and just give him the award here and reward him for that. because if we're looking purely at the stats, I feel like it should be either Lamar or Burrow, and I would say that maybe Darnold even has a slightly better case than Josh Allen here.
Yeah. I just think that well, you said media narratives. I think Josh Allen is an interesting scenario where the Bills came in with lessened expectations compared to previous years. They well exceeded those expectations as far as the results on the field, and he's a recognizable name. You know, that's kind of how narratives get made. And if you look at
Outside of the
Burrow,
last
Burrow's
part,
kind of the opposite. Burrow came in with a lot higher expectation. He failed those, no, not stats wise, but the team, the Cincinnati Bengals, failed those expectations despite of Joe Burrow, and now he's on the back end. Does that make sense?
it does, but on that same sense, there's also like Sam Darnold was also in a team that had very low expectations after the starter went
No
down.
name recognition.
Um, but yeah, that last part though, the name recognition. Although I would say, in terms of name recognition, sure, Josh Allen has a bigger name. He's constantly being referred to as one of the best QBs in the league. But
Yeah,
Sam Darnold is also like a fairly recognizable name, I would say. He came from the big market in New York. Everyone knows his story, going from USC to the New York Jets, just busting out in a class that had a lot of talent in Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. That's, I believe, I'm missing one, right? Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold. Oh, and then it was Josh Rosen. Whatever.
Josh Rosen. Yeah.
Um, but he comes from that class, the class that also had Saquon. So I feel like he is a fairly recognizable name. Um, so I don't know. If nothing less because of how polarizing he was back with the Jets. Some people love him, some people hate him. The whole seeing ghost story. I feel like he's at least a recognizable enough name. But I also sort of get that he's probably going to be a comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
So they need to fill up these awards some way, somehow. But honestly, I would give it to Burrow, Jackson, or Darnold. Then I would consider Josh Allen.
Interesting. So, I generally agree with that. I think that the whole it's a narrative perspective, and it's just who the media anoints is a bad way to do MVP. but but I guess that's the ecosphere that we live in right now. I mean, personally, I think it's Joe Burrow. That probably has heavy bias, but I actually I actually kind of hope Saquon gets it because it seems like the MVP award is kind of gate kept by positions because we haven't seen a non MVP or not MVP, a non quarterback MVP win the award since what, Adrian Peterson?
Yeah, that's it.
So
Yeah, I feel like he has close to no chance of winning it. I'll tell you right now.
do you think there needs to be another award, like a positional player award that's viewed in as high regard as the MVP?
I feel like that's a tough question because the alternative here is probably to create a QB centric award in terms of like the
We have that.
best
It's called the
QB in the
MVP.
NFL. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's also called the MVP. Like if you create that other trophy, and it's basically to say like, okay, the QBs are allowed to win this award, um, to sort of try and make it fair for the MVP. I still think like the QB would win the MVP because the most prestigious award. You want to award that to the most important player on the field, which is usually a QB. Like if your team is doing super good, it's usually a QB. I understand that a running back or a wide receiver can have a case for it. I feel like there has been better cases, than Saquon to win that award, to win the MVP. I feel like the Cooper Cup Triple Crown season probably has a bit of a better case than Saquon, for example, and he didn't win it, as far as I know. Um, so I feel like even if you create another award, I still think like you're going to create a QB centric award. You're going to give that to the QB, and the QB is still going to win the MVP. You have the offensive player of the year for that. So fair play. Though that like the offensive player of the year is usually never a QB because of this reason, because the QB wins the MVP. Um, so even if you create another award, I would feel like it would be either an award that
Sure.
can't be won by a QB, and that's like Offensive Player of the Year, or you create an
That's
award
fair.
just for
That's
the
fair.
QBs, and then it's like the QB is going to win that, the second best QB is going to win that, and the MVP goes to the QB, the best QB. So
That's fair. Make offensive player of the year more important. Anyway, this is not just football show, this is fantasy show. What did you learn about fantasy football this year? Because I have a hot take for you, my friend, and you are example number one of this.
I learned that curses were made to be broken
Curses are made to be broken.
because your boy has finally done it. He has won the Dynasty League that he has been in since the very beginning. 2016 to now, plenty of championships,
Almost
plenty
a
of
decade
championship
later.
titles that were lost, but we managed to pull through. I thought I was cursed. You thought I was cursed. Everyone thought I was cursed, but no, we go to the final. We win. We have the most points of anyone playing in the final. So no matter who I would have played against, I would have won. That's how I like to win. Because in years prior, I remember being eliminated in like round one, and then just looking at the scores and being like, "Oh, I would have won this week. I had the most amount of points in the finals." Being pissed off at that, and this is how I like to win: getting to the final, having the most points in the final. No one could have said a thing. I got the title, so that's what I learned. Curses can be broken, and I also say like I feel like not diving too deep into your own biases is also quite important. Like, if you remember when we were sitting here at the start of the season, I had my concerns on guys like Baker Mayfield, for example, because they didn't have their OC anymore. So I thought Baker was probably regressing a bit. I still
Brown.
took a chance on
Chase Brown.
him. Chase Brown as well. But those are still guys that I ended up taking a shot at in a league or two. Um, that ended up being super important for my run. So, like, have your beliefs, stand by them, but don't be afraid to admit. Much like I was saying at the start of this season when we were talking about rookie drafts, why you draft Michael Penix even if you don't believe in him, is because the NFL does. And right now, it's proven to be the right pick over the rest of the guys that you could have picked inside of that realm. And it's just like, it's okay to have your biases, it's okay to have your beliefs, but at some point, be ready to bet against them. And that's the lesson that I learned this year. And that's a lesson that paid off. 4 titles, 4 championship matches, 4 titles.
So I think the lesson I learned was running backs matter a lot more than wide receivers in a given year. So I do agree with the idea in Dynasty that wide receivers retain more value long term, so you want to get them. But in a year that you won with basically all the top running backs on your team, I got the number one overall pick on a team with Drake London, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase.
Hmm.
And go ahead.
I think the lesson is not only that running backs matter, because I think
A
they
lot.
do,
They
but I
matter a
think
lot.
the bigger lesson is hold running backs matter. I feel like that was something that I bet on like last year, if I'm not mistaken. That's when I started to build this core. And it's just like you take those, and I mentioned that here. You take those older running backs that are probably in decline right now. You grab those guys cheap because they're still going to produce a whole lot. Guys like Derrick Henry, guys like Alvin Kamara, for example, this offseason, they weren't like absolutely dirt cheap, but like you could probably get them for like a late first around draft time, an early second, for example. And those are guys that ended up inside of the running back one, inside the running back five,
Yeah.
and guys that really helped your team, guys that really helped my teams in getting those dubs. So I feel like we're getting to a point in which it flipped a bit. Like, I was ahead of the curve in terms of the wide receivers being worth more. I think we went through a stretch of that with Jefferson, with Chase, with Cup. All of those guys were worth relatively more than the running back. I still think that's going to be the case in terms of like overall value. I feel like people are going to rate the wide receivers higher because of the shelf life and whatnot. But I feel like the big difference here is going to be there's not going to be such a fall off in the older running backs. I feel like the older running backs are are going to be worth a bit more as they progress. And people like me, for example, who were like running back adverse when they reach the age of like 26, we're going to be okay taking shots on them as long as they are like not the most expensive guys in the world. And we're probably going to be focusing a bit more on those guys, on the running backs on age 26, 27, 28, versus the guys on age 21, 22, 23, like a Bijan, Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, all of those guys. I feel like the older running backs won't be worth more than them, but it's starting to be a bit closer. Like I feel like the high end running back that is like 21, 22 years old, I feel like they are going to be worth significantly less than the high end wide receiver one that is 23, 24, 25. But like the amount of running backs that are going to be usable and that are going to be worth more, or going to be worth something is higher than the amount of wide receivers, if that makes sense.
That kind of doesn't make sense. So you think the amount of usable running backs is going to be higher than the amount of usable wide receivers? Is that what you just said?
Yes, because I
No
think
way.
there are going to
No
be
way.
more running backs producing in terms of like high end
No.
stats.
No. That's just not the case. Like there's only one running back, even with the RBC BBC. There's usually only one running back per team that can be a good fantasy producer. Even in the case of the Cincinnati Bengals, we watched two wide receivers who are very good producers in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So just based on that alone, there's no way.
I don't know. I'm looking at the top what? I'm looking at the top 24 wide receivers.
Mhm.
Um, and there's in this top 24, I believe there are what? Around 20 teams represented. I could make better calculations, but I think that's around that. That's around 20 teams represented. So there's 20 wide receivers from one team, four wide receivers that are teammates of some of those 20 guys. In terms of running backs, sure. Uh, maybe I'm misexplaining my point. I'm trying to say that, for example, the guys that are like a Derrick Henry, for example, guys that are like age 30, those age 30 running backs are going to not be as discardable or like replaceable
Mhm.
as the 20, I'm not going to say 30 something wide receiver, but like the 28-year-old wide receivers. I feel like those guys are going to be the one that get hurt in terms of value because I feel like people know that running backs are worth a whole lot based on what this season turned out to be. I feel like people will be putting a lot of emphasis on getting the running back set. But I feel like the amount of running backs that one can acquire and that have a major impact on your team are higher than the amount of wide receivers that you can acquire that have that same amount of upside. So like I feel like there's 20 running backs that you can acquire that all will give you good numbers in terms of like game by game. And there's like what 15 wide receivers that you can acquire that can give you those differential type of numbers.
Oh,
Does
okay.
that
You're talking
make
about
sense?
accessibility. You think that
Yes.
running back will be more accessible to get into because of because older running backs have been traditionally like valued less. So
Yeah, they've been
your like
discarded.
payment
And
into entry is a lot, your barrier into entry is a lot lower. You can stomach that cost a bit more than like trying to enter into a top, because a top wide receiver is usually young. You don't.
yes, that's it. Like
Interesting.
if you want to go into a Jefferson Chase, Drake London type of tier, those guys are probably quite expensive versus what you can
So now
get when
here's
you
my
go into
question. Let's just go wide receiver once. The top 12 wide receiver, because I don't know the answer to this. I'm just curious. Do you have that pulled up right now as far as like fantasy
yes, the
numbers?
top
Okay.
12 wide receivers
How many
by
of those
finish.
wide receivers are over the age of 26, 27? Let's
Oh,
just say
age
27.
20. How many of them are over the age of 27?
Yes.
So
Top
there's
12.
one, the top 12. So there's two.
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 And how
Yeah,
and
there's
how many
Mike
running
Evans
backs
and Terry
are over
McLaurin.
the age of, let's just use the same number. 27.
27. So Saquon is 27. Do we count that or not?
We're gonna count that.
Okay, so one, two, three, four. There's four guys, and then there's one with 26.
Gotcha. So now, granted, do you think this is an evolution thing? Like, do you think we're gonna, because do you think that because there have been very, very good running backs who've come out lately. I've taken advantage of this in a lot of my strategies, whether it be Brees Hall, whether it be Bijan Robinson, whether it be Kenneth Walker. Do you think that this trend is still going to continue where you can still use these running backs that I just named into their later season, or do you think it was just a few good draft classes and people like I'm going to lump Christian McCaffrey in there because Christian McCaffrey was good and he was older until the Achilles injuries, like a Christian McCaffrey, but more specifically like a Derrick Henry. Do you think David Montgomery has future value with Jameer Gibbs with the Lions offense? Do you think that it was just a good group of running backs that got drafted in like 2015, 2016, 2017? Or do you think this is a trend and that the running backs now are just as good and you're going to see them still be productive into their later seasons?
I think so. I think that's a bit of the case. I feel like a lot of those guys that have come out recently or in the past, like what, 3 years or so, some of them really have a whole lot of upside. And some of them are even showing that right now as we develop. For example, guys like Shuba Hubbard, who we really were sort of like writing off because they drafted Jonathan Brooks and whatnot, and out
Yeah.
of nowhere, like which age 25, it just comes out, and in a team that isn't all that good he comes off and he breaks like the 1,200 yards mark in terms of rushing. He has 10 touchdowns. He had a breakthrough season, gets a 3-year deal as well. Basically, it's sort of like showing that the team is behind him and it's still going to give him chances. And I feel like there's a whole lot of guys coming up right now that are in that age 24 or age 25 season that have shown they are good running backs and that they can have a career outside of even if the team that they are on doesn't give them a next contract. I feel like they've done enough in this league to prove that they deserve a chance elsewhere. I'm talking about guys like James Cook, for example, who was running back 9 this year, he's age 25. Kyron Williams as well, who's going to be age 25 soon. The Chase Brown right now, who is also young right now, he's 24. Just comes off of an explosive season after not being the starter to start the year. And you have guys like Brees Hall, Jonathan Taylor, for example. You have guys like Najee Harris, who's probably going to have like okay seasons as his career progresses, and he's going to be usable, maybe even in a James Conner type role, for example. And there's a lot of guys here that I'm looking, and I'm seeing the same sort of pattern as we saw with like a guy like James Conner. I remember us like having this conversation prior to last year's season started, the 2023-2024 season. I remember we were having chats about this guy for redraft here in the show. We were just getting started, and I remember mentioning like this is a guy that until the wheels fall off, you're okay riding him. I know you were against that because you never really liked James Conner all that much, and he's still a guy that is still producing to this day. And it's a
Yeah.
guy that we were writing off back when he was with the Steelers, for example. And he just comes out and he has like he finished running back 11 this year. He finished running back 18 last year. He finished running back 20 the year prior to that, and finished running back 5 on the first year with Arizona. And he's just a guy that keeps producing. And I see a lot of these guys can have similar enough careers as a James Conner. We talked about the top 12 running backs and how many of them were over the age of 27 or 27. I feel like the biggest difference here is when you look at even like inside of the top 20 for running backs, there's like the two guys that I mentioned that are in the top 12. But then if you enlarge the selection to like a top 20, there's another guy, there's like five guys inside of the top 20 that are over the age of 27 or 27. If you do the same thing at running back, there's those four guys inside of the top 12, but then it's like Joe Mixon is in here, Aaron Jones is in here, so that's six. David Montgomery, there's seven. You also have the Tony Pollard, who's 27. So it's nearly half of the top 12 top 20 running backs that finished the year in fantasy total in PPR for the running back position. Half of those guys are 27 or older. Meanwhile, there's like what, a fifth of the guys at wide receiver or a fourth of the guys at wide receiver are over the age of 27. I feel like this is where the difference is the biggest right now. Is those guys, there are a lot of usable guys at running back that are over the age of 27, 28, 29. And I feel like at wide receiver, that really isn't the case. And that's the biggest thing that is going to flip here. It's like those running backs, once they are 26, 27, they won't be like sold for nothing like they used to. There won't be like zero market for them like it used to. I feel like people are going to be rating them quite a bit.
Interesting. I could see that. Yeah. Whew. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to talk about. There's a few things. My mind is just like a clusterfuck right now. I'm not gonna lie. Is there
There's,
a particular topic or something you noticed throughout the fantasy season that you want to talk about before I
hmm,
try to find the portion of my brain that has the topics I want to talk about today?
the portion of your brain.
Yeah.
Uh, One thing, do you feel like the running QB trend, the Konami QB trend, is going to continue being a thing, or are we going to be
Oh,
more open
100%.
to? Do you?
Yeah. I think that's
Because
here to stay, friend.
I feel like unlike other years, I just feel like there's a lot more not quote unquote Konami QBs running back QBs inside of the top 12. Like Charles Lamar is still the top guy, but
Josh
then
Allen.
like the gap between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow is like 10 points at this stage. It's not all that much. Now, granted, one guy has 42 passing touchdowns, the other one has 28. So it takes a season like this to be in this conversation. But like you also have guys like Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix. Those guys are not necessarily the sort of guy you would think about when you think about Konami QBs or top 12 QBs. And it feels like over half of the top 12 QBs aren't really that big into rushing.
So
I do want
I
to.
think
Plus,
I think that we've kind of moved the goalpost with that because I think that battle's been lost. So even if you take quarterbacks who aren't traditionally like associated with running, like a Joe Burrow, like a Patrick Mahomes, they're not just stationary in the pocket. They do move with their legs, and they move with their legs to A, extend time, and B, make throwing plays that otherwise wouldn't be possible. That's part of the conversation that we kind of have lost because I think the rushing quarterback versus stationary quarter, I think that's a lost battle, dude. I
hmm,
don't know of how many quarterbacks who can't extend with their legs to some extent or another, or extend a play with their legs to some extent with another, like Peyton Manning did, like Joe Flacco did.
hmm.
I
But hmm, the big thing for me is, and I understand this draft class brought us Jaden Daniels, who's currently QB4 in the year, and he is a running QB for all intents and purposes.
yeah,
He is not. I feel like there needs to be a distinction between a running QB and a mobile QB. Because
yeah.
the running QB is the guy that takes off quite often and a guy that has the designated runs for them. And he runs like 10, 12, 15 times a game.
Well,
Um,
here's the thing. We didn't the reason we don't distinguish that is because we never distinguished it before when we had the stationary quarterbacks. So now I honestly think there should be different words and titles associated with like I think Madden uses improviser as a archetype. I think that's actually a very good way to describe Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. They don't run necessarily, but they do extend plays and improvise plays with their feet.
hmm, that does make sense. But my point was more like, as we saw some of the QBs from the later drafts that we had, like I'm not saying this year, but like for example, next year, last year, you had a guy like Anthony Richardson. He was fairly hyped up in terms of being the next Konami
Not by
QB.
me, but yeah.
Okay. But like 90% of the people were in on Richardson for fantasy. Like even if you don't like him for NFL, you were like looking at a guy that could be the next Konami QB type of runner because he was like the most athletic QB ever. So like even if the ceiling, even if like the floor wasn't all there in terms of passing, his rushing ability gave you a fairly good floor in terms of what you can get for fantasy. And now you look at him a year removed from that, and there's still inconsistencies in his game. Like sure, when he starts, like he has given you a good amount of points for the most part. But now he's getting like chronic back pain. I believe the report, and you mentioned that it wasn't even like a report; it was straight from the cat's den. I believe what he said was that he couldn't even walk; he had to crawl to go to the bathroom and whatnot because his back was completely like shut down. He couldn't do anything with his back, and that's why he missed last week's game, week 17. Um, so now you're looking at a guy that he maybe like that could be it for his career. Like if that's a thing that is chronic that will never go away, he's avoiding surgery. That can happen at any given point. Like that can happen in a game, in a championship game, and all of a sudden, like even if you start a guy like a Tua, for example, he's going to give you 15, 7, 16, 17 points. Richardson can give you 2, or he can give you like 30, whatever. But those sort of issues, those probably happen a bit more on the running QB, not the improviser, not the mobile, not the statue QBs. Those will probably happen a bit more to the running QB, the real running QB. So that's what I was going with this. Do you think like people will be waiting injury a bit more on these guys versus what the improviser QB gets you? Because
Oh,
you remember
1000%.
Daniels
It's
this
always
year
been
as
like that.
well.
It's always
Like
been like that. How many
he's
years?
QB4.
how many years have you been rally? How many years have you been behind the rally cry that I'm just waiting for Lamar Jackson to get that injury? He's not going to have the longevity like a Patrick Mahomes. Well, you've been behind this rallying cry forever. So I think that that's already ingrained in people's brains. So I think that the people who aren't as big of fans on rushing quarterbacks in fantasy as far as longevity, they are already moving on them when they see these warning signs.
Mm.
Do you disagree?
No, I think it could be a tad late because when you see these warning signs, everyone has seen these warning signs. Like what do we have on Richardson right now? Everyone has on Richardson. Like you can't move Richardson for anything. Now Daniels, for example, this year Daniels he had a stretch there in which his outlook wasn't the best. We were wondering if that, and that was after the injury that he suffered to the ribs versus the Carolina Panthers. Then he had like couple, 3, 4, 5 games in which his output wasn't the best. Because part of the reason why was that he wasn't running as much, he wasn't getting as much production on the ground, and that hurts you. Um,
Mhm.
so Richardson last year, Daniels this year had a very good season, but there was still that scare. I don't know. Like at some point, are we just okay with a guy like a Burrow who probably is never going to finish the year as the overall QB1, but he's going to be finishing the year around QB 5 to 7, and we take that and we say, okay, I'm fine living with that with that minimal risk and of a capped ceiling, but still a ceiling that is still fairly high. Or do we just go for broke and we keep betting on the running QBs and know that like a good bunch of them won't work out? And then there's that part of the of the overall cake, let's call it like that, of the overall cake of the running QBs, that some will get hurt, some won't pan out in the league, and you just have to live in those boundaries.
I mean, but that's with all fantasy. It's not like you have a state. That's my problem with the way you're framing this. It's not like you have like a stationary quarterback, and because he's a stationary quarterback, he is immune to becoming a bust. Like that happens all the time.
Yes, but I'm also not
Josh
saying
Rosen.
just like with rookie QBs. I'm saying for the future. I'm saying for dynasty, do you go with a Burrow? Do you go with a Josh Allen?
You go with Josh Allen
Guys that are, but why?
because more fantasy points.
But okay, let's put it like
Like
this.
it really is that
No,
simple. The
but
only
I
case
feel
I
like
could
the
see.
amount of times. No, I feel like the my issue with it is okay. You look at a guy like Burrow. What has he missed time on? He missed time with
The
a
whole
hurt
year. Well, he had a
wrist
hurt
last
wrist.
year,
Yep, for his
but that
ACL.
wasn't on him taking the risks. The risk wasn't him taking extra risk. If I remember correctly, a guy had the helmet on the wrist or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was a play.
Okay.
Yes.
Then he tore his ACL on
Yep.
a random play in which the leg got bent over. And then he hurt something during training camp, if I'm not
Shoulder.
mistaken, right?
His shoulder.
Shoulder.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. But none of those injuries were injuries that he acquired while taking risks, while extending plays, while running. Uh, Unlike a guy, for example, like a Josh Allen, who has taken that sort of risks, who has taken that sort of hits, that maybe he doesn't miss a whole lot of time, but he also gives you the scares. Now, last week, if I'm not mistaken, there were reports that he wasn't really feeling his throwing hands. He has had reports that his left hand or left wrist has been hurt for quite a while now. All of those things sort of scare me, and it's like, can you imagine if you're in a championship game and Josh Allen just takes a run, takes a risk, gets a concussion, he's out for the year, he's out for the
Out
week,
for the
you lose your championship on that. Yeah, out for the week, you lose your championship on that. Versus a guy like Burrow that gets you what, 20 less points across the season. That's like a point or a point two per game less. than a Josh Allen, and doesn't carry nearly the amount of the risk that a Josh Allen carries. That's my concern here. Like, is it just like more points, better, or are we not taking any sort of risk into account there? Are we just like monkey see, monkey do?
Yes, because Josh Allen hasn't missed a game this year, by the way.
Sure, he hasn't missed a game, but the warning signs are there. Like last game, like he wasn't feeling his throwing hand, for Christ's sake. His throwing hand. Can you imagine like being in that position in which a guy like the report comes out that your starting QB in the middle of the game isn't feeling his throwing hand? Like what the fuck? What are we talking about, dude? Like doesn't that just scares the shit out of you? Versus a guy like Joe Burrow that you know he won't take as many risks. He's going to be sitting down in the pocket. He's still going to be running a bit, extending plays and whatnot, especially like in those meaningful weeks. In week 14, 15, 16, 17, those championship weeks, those weeks that define you in the playoffs or not. We know that a guy like Joe Burrow, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Baker Mayfield, whatever, those guys that are in the playoff competition, they will run more. That's been shown. They are more willing to run in those situations. So in the games that actually matter, the output in terms of rushing won't be that different, but they just do not carry the same amount of risk as a guy like a Lamar, as a guy like Josh Allen, that will run 10, 12, 13 times, that will do the tush push in the goal line, at the goal line, where like there's 300 and 400 pound guys sitting on top of you, like trying to punch the ball away from you. I feel like all of those risks aren't really necessary when you're talking about a difference of like 1.2 points per game more for a guy like Josh Allen versus a guy like Joe Burrow this year. Now, given there might be years in which the gap is bigger, sure, but I feel like I can live with that.
But
And just
that's how you accumulate more points over the course of a career. So I just looked it up. Josh Allen, I'm just going to use 2020 on. Josh Allen has played in what was this 16, 12. He's played in over 12 more games than Joe Burrow has in the same time span. I don't get this argument.
okay, but
So
why? But we just went over this. The reason why Burrow missed time wasn't anything like taking risks on the field. It's just purely like he got dealt shit hands, either in training camp, either a guy like just ramming his helmet into his hand. I feel like the risk, and sure, Allen hasn't missed games. I get it. I'm not saying that he will miss games, but I feel like the risk of him missing games is higher due to how he plays. I feel like he's a bit more reckless than a guy like Joe Burrow. And sure, right now Burrow has missed more games. But I'm not saying to do that in 2020. I'm saying to do that from now on. Because I could see like there could be seasons in which Josh Allen just fucks you in the playoffs or just fucks you in the championship game because that's his style. And all of a sudden you start a guy that should be like a QB1 and he gets you 2 points. I feel like the risk of that is higher with Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow in game.
so what you're literally
But maybe I'm just wrong here.
you're fucking a car insurance salesman at this point. You're selling peace of mind. You're selling peace of mind when the
Yeah.
evidence says you shouldn't have it. Josh Allen has played in more games. Josh Allen has more points. I fucking hated Josh Allen coming out of college. I was not a fan of him. I was wrong. Josh Allen is a safer bet than Joe Burrow has been over the last 4 years. That is just an objective fact.
Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like the
selling
future
peace
is
of
going to
mind. You're
prove that
selling
I'm
peace of
right
mind.
here.
You're selling peace
Yes,
of mind.
I'm selling peace of mind because that's how I like to play. I like to play with some peace of mind. And having a situation this year in which I have Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was hurt. All of a sudden, I had to go and grab Tua, who's not the perfect picture of help by himself. And then all of a sudden, Tua is out as well. So now I need to start Joe Flacco in my championship game. I feel like all of those scenarios really
He
messed up
just
my
got
experience.
PTSD from being kicked out the playoffs so many times.
Maybe, and that's what I'm trying to share with the people. I guess I just feel like the future is going to prove that I'm right on this one. Maybe right now it doesn't look like it, but
It looks like
just
you're
wait.
crazy.
I feel like the future is going to prove that I'm right.
And see, you'd rather have Joe Burrow, even though he was injured that whole season, and Josh Allen played in your playoffs that season. What year was that? That was, I think he was the number 2 quarterback in PPR and half PPR that year. Joe Burrow went down. Anyway,
Again, that didn't happen because of meaningless risks.
that's,
Just like ramming your head inside a 300 pounder to try and get like 5 more yards or 2 more yards. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let us know what you think. Let us know if I'm wrong, if Angelo's wrong. I feel like the future is going to prove that I'm right, though. So we
you're
wait
wrong.
on that one.
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
Okay.
Is
Did that
Jalen
give
Hurts
you
a
enough
quarterback?
time?
Yes. Is Jalen Hurts a good quarterback? Yes or no?
Jalen Hurts is an okay-ish QB.
And okay,
Honestly, where do you put Jalen Hurts? Like in terms of, are we saying fantasy or like actual football?
either
Either. Okay. Jalen Hurts for you is a top what QB?
10.
10. I don't know. For actual football, I would say Lamar is better. I would say Josh Allen is better. I would say Joe Burrow is better. I would
I agree with
say
that.
Patrick Mahomes is better. I would
Agree.
say that Justin Herbert is better.
I think they're in
I,
the same tier, but okay, I'll give it to you. You're at 5.
I think that Matthew Stafford is much better. I
You're
think that
insane.
I'm insane because I think that a Super Bowl winning QB, one of the most complete QBs and one of the most gifted QBs that we ever saw, is
That you doubted the
better.
whole year.
It doesn't matter. I doubted the Rams. That's what I doubted. But Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love, I feel like is a better QB as well.
Uh, I think same tier as
Mm,
well. I think hot
so
Jordan Love is a lot better, but cold Jordan Love is a lot worse. So I same tier for me.
that's 8 that I mentioned right there. And then there's guys that I think are debatable or are in the same tier. I feel like Baker Mayfield is usually slept on, and I feel like Baker
Oh my
Mayfield is right
God.
there. I could
Okay.
make the argument. I could make the argument. I
This
feel
year
like Jared
maybe.
Goff. I mean, Jared Goff is a better QB than Herbs, right? We can all just admit that.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, so that's 10 right there. Like some of them are in tier,
You had to. I was about to say you had to use a bunch of same tier, but
and I didn't even mention Brock Purdy because
he's
like
not
I
better.
feel
Oh
like
my God.
I feel like he's probably worse than Jalen Hurts. But if you look at it this way, what is Jalen Hurts' biggest accomplishment so far in the
Making it
NFL?
to the Super Bowl,
What's Brock Purdy's biggest achievement right now in the NFL?
becoming the starter.
No, 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 no. Didn't he play in the Super Bowl last year?
I mean, that's kind of
With much less
that's
talent around him than what Jalen Hurts had back with the Avengers.
much less. What are
I
you
feel like it's much
smoking?
less.
What are you smoking?
The Eagles had like Pro Bowlers at every single position by the
This is
time they went to the Super Bowl.
this is before they acquired Saquon. So you're telling
Yes,
me
it was. I'm sorry, it was before they acquired Saquon. It still doesn't matter, dude. They still had a better O line than they have today. They still had much better defense than they had today. Like
Stop
I
this.
feel like the team was absolutely stacked at every single
Stop it. You're
position.
telling me Josh Purdy, who had Brandon Ayuk, who had Debo Samuel, who had Christian McCaffrey, who had George Kittle, you're telling me that
Yes.
team was quote unquote not as stacked as the Eagles when they made their Super Bowl run
Yes.
offensively. You're insane.
Yes.
You're insane. You're
Let
insane.
me pull up the
Go ahead.
Pro Bowl.
Make your
Which
case.
year did they went to the Super Bowl?
The year after the Bengals did.
So that's 2021.
Hold on, I'm about to
I
look this up.
feel okay.
Well,
Pro Bowl.
2022, 2023, I'm pretty sure. Super Bowl history. Super Bowl winners by year, according to
Yeah,
ESPN.
they won in 2022, so it's probably that year.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh,
So the
Yep,
Pro
2022,
Bowlers.
2023. Yes. Go ahead.
So the Pro Bowlers for the Philadelphia Eagles that year. They had one, they had two, they had again, maybe it's just better to just
Exactly, because you can't make the argument. The Eagles had worse
no
around
no.
Jalen at the
I'm
time.
saying
Purdy, and
the
not
way
only
that I'm
that,
reading
Purdy
this.
looked like absolute shit this year when those fucking weapons started going down. Jalen Hurts had to play multiple weeks without AJ Brown. He had to play most of the season without Devonta Smith. Like,
Most of
no,
what season? The Super Bowl season?
this season. This season!
But I'm saying the season in which he went to the Super Bowl versus the season in which the Niners went to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying. I feel like the Eagles team was better
It
than
wasn't
what
better. It wasn't
I'm trying.
better.
I'm just trying to go by a simple metric. How many Pro Bowlers they have?
The 49ers,
Okay.
I literally coined the term sacrificing teams because of that 49ers team that you're comparing
Well,
Brock
yes.
Purdy.
One thing that they definitely had better than the Eagles was a coaching staff or
Oh
an
my
head
god.
coach at least. So I'll tell you that much. I'm just trying to find out like why is this so hard? The Eagles Pro Bowlers in 2022. I
Because they
can
made
find
the Super Bowl,
2024.
so they didn't go to the Pro Bowl, Alex.
Yeah, but they were nominated to go to the fucking Super Bowl. To go to the fucking Pro Bowl. Like I can definitely find the names. It just takes longer. That's it.
Oh my god. This guy. This motherfucker.
All pros and Pro Bowlers. Okay, we'll do it this way. Okay, so they were 8 guys went to the Pro Bowl in the year in which they went to the Super Bowl
Who's they? The Eagles
versus
or the
the
Niners?
Eagles. Versus, so when did the Niners win? They went last year,
Last year, yes.
2024.
2023, 2024, yes.
So they had the Niners last year. They had, if I'm not mistaken, it was 4. They had 5, from what I'm seeing. So that's 3 less than the Eagles. I feel like that team was definitely much better than what the Niners have. That's just me. But again, the overall result, both of their best achievements so far was getting to a Super Bowl
I'm losing to Patrick Mahomes
and losing to Patrick Mahomes. So I feel like they're at
by the
least
same
close
amount of
enough.
points.
But I named you 10 guys that I feel like, and you sort of agreed with most of them. There were like 2 that you doubted a bit. But you still had them in the same tier.
Oh.
And then I could mention your guy, CJ Stroud, that maybe you would twerk for because you like him a whole lot. I feel like he's definitely not top 10.
I mean, I don't know. CJ Stroud this year is pretty bad.
Yeah, you're telling that to the guy that never liked CJ Stroud. I'm just glad that the new darlings of the NFL were short lived.
The new darlings of the NFL.
They were hyping them up like nobody's business.
I'm just saying. The fucking AFC South, it was South. The AFC South was disappointing as fuck this year. In fact, just the South in general. The NFC South too. Disappointing as fuck this year.
Hey, the Bucks turned out to be better than people expected.
The Bucks turned out to be what? Better than expected? Yeah.
Better than the people expected, yeah.
I mean, sure, but that the Falcons did not live up to the hype. The Colts had an easy as fuck schedule, and they somehow, uh, you know, I'm never putting my faith in the fucking Colts or Anthony Richardson again after this year. I hope you know that. I didn't see a way for them to like fucking have a worse record than the Texans, but here we are. And by the way, I acknowledge that they sucked this year, but the Colts were worse.
Yes, the Colts were definitely worse. Do you think there's anyone in that building that doesn't get fired?
In the Colts building,
Head coach, head coach, GM.
can you fire the owner?
I don't know. Like, I don't think Jerry Jones was ever fired, so probably not.
So no, I don't think anyone gets fired in the Colts organization. The Colts are a shitty run organization by a shitty owner, and they're gonna be shitty. They're gonna do shitty things. They're the same organization that ruined Andrew Luck. So no, they're just shitty. That's point blank, end of story.
Okay, so what else do we have to talk about? Like, we're definitely not going with this like game by game as we usually do it because we do not have time to go through like 32 games.
I was wrong to trust the Bengals
Wait. How can you say that when you're still in the playoff now?
because we should already be in the playoffs, Alex. We should not be in the playoff hunt.
Well, yes, but you know how that doesn't happen is when, I don't know, your team allows like 30 plus points per game to every single team.
I'm I'm the one who said the defense looks generationally bad, and you clapped back at me. It's just no, they're not
It,
generationally bad. They're only giving up 30 points per game, not 40 points per game. Fuck off.
yeah, like, because that's the generational part. Like, they are very bad. They're just not generationally bad. Because, like, generationally bad, you need to reach that threshold. That's all that I said. I still don't think you guys have a good defense. You still have a very shitty defense.
Yeah,
Let's make that clear.
it's bad.
But you're still in the playoff hunt. Right now, I believe you need, like, the Broncos to lose and the Miami Dolphins to lose.
Yeah,
Your biggest issue
Broncos.
is probably the first one because the Chiefs are resting everyone. It looks like.
If you were the Chiefs, would you want the Bengals in the playoffs?
Uh, Probably no, but they're also not getting
Exactly.
them.
Exactly.
At least not in the first round.
You don't want the you don't even want the chance the Bengals catch fire. You don't want that chance. You don't want to roll that dice.
Yeah, plus like if you can just keep facing Josh Allen, it's a very cakewalk for him. Like he has his number. That's unlock.
The AFC is weird this year. I don't know who. Like, hold on. Let's go to this AFC playoffs. Let's see. AFC playoff bracket. All right. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like so far. Okay. AFC. Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs might be the most fraudulent one seed in a while. Let's be real about that. Okay. Oh no. I just realized the spot the Bengals are playing for was to play the fucking Bills. We're
That's
gonna
an easy
fucking
enough game.
we would beat the Bills, I think. Funny enough,
Yeah,
like looking at these matchups, Vegas Chargers versus Ravens. I actually might pick against the Ravens again this year, friend. I hate to break it to you.
I feel like the Chargers are like great at beating up shitty teams, but they really struggle versus the good teams. So I feel like it's not the year yet. This is not the year in
And
which they're going
then
to do anything.
this might be the worst playoff matchup I think in the whole playoffs. Steelers versus Texans.
Hey, the Steelers are at least getting a win.
I don't know about I don't know who to pick in that game.
It's very easily the Steelers.
You think it's easily the Steelers? I don't know about easily. It's
I think it's easily the Steelers.
we'll
You
see.
can trust me on that one.
Oh, here's a
I
matchup
think
you're
they
gonna love: Eagles versus Packers.
again from the get-go, I've said this Eagles team is going to do exactly the same thing they've been doing in years prior. It's get to the playoffs, pump up the Super Bowl, get eliminated in the first round. So that's still what I believe.
That's still what you believe, huh?
Yep. I feel like the Packers are probably the hardest matchup that a team can find right there.
If they're hot, I see. I Packers are hard to predict, honestly.
But they always get odds.
They don't always get hot, Alex.
I feel like they do in those big spots
I don't.
against those fraudulent teams.
Fraudulent. You're still on the Eagles.
Yep.
What the
I'm
fuck do
still
the
not
Eagles
sold on
have
the
to
Eagles.
do? What?
They
What?
have to win.
What do they have to
They
do?
have
What do they have to do?
just win a couple playoff games.
They've already done that with Jalen
No, with
Hurts.
this current iteration, like without the Avengers.
With that, just go to another Super Bowl. That's all.
I'm not even asking for that. I'm asking for like a good playoff win. That's all that I want.
Oh man, I don't. I don't get the hate on the Eagles. I just don't like.
It's just I don't even think it's hate.
It's
I just
hate.
I
They've
just
been
don't
a top
trust
two
them.
seed the last 2 years. You're like, oh, they're the most fraudulent team in the NFL. They're this, they're that. But
Okay, so tell me what happened last year to that mighty number two seed in the NFL, in the NFC, that is. What happened to them?
they lost to the Packers, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
they lost to the Buccaneers.
Oh no, they lost to the Buccaneers. My bad. My bad. Okay.
Round one. Right
They
away.
lost.
Didn't even put a fight if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just asking to be proven wrong. Just show me something before I give you the roses. Is that all that much to ask?
They went to a super. They went to a Super Bowl.
With the Avengers, Angelo. With the Avengers.
With the Avengers. And what did the 49ers do?
They went to the Super Bowl with the what's the B team of the
Oh
Avengers?
my
Is it
God,
like
this guy.
I guess it's the equivalent to whatever the Teen Titans is in the Marvel universe.
Anyway, sorry. All right. I just think
Okay,
I
so
think you're
what
too harsh on the Eagles. You're too harsh on the Eagles.
before I guess we can do this next week. I was gonna ask what's your Super Bowl picks right now, but
We're
I
gonna do
think it's
this. We're
probably
gonna
better
do our
next week.
quick predictions for the final week. Since we missed the last 2 weeks, would you please in fact, yeah, you should do this. Review what happened while we were away. What happened with the predictions while we were away, Alex? Take it away.
So I feel like week 15 didn't happen So that one we don't need to recap. We did the show. There were results. We can skip that one, I think. Then week 16. On week 15, you sort of beat my ass. I was making up some ground, and then you beat me 13-3 in that week. So that was the week that you've been logging for now, for a bit now. After that, on week 16, that one was one of the weeks in which we didn't report. We just made our picks in the app. I won 9-7, and then this week you won 7-6. So this puts the overall numbers at 130. For you, it is 130 to 142. So overall, that is a
Terrible record, but not as terrible as Alex, apparently.
it is 48%, 47.8%.
Terrible.
That's your overall record for
I
the
put,
year.
yeah, it is. I put my expectations higher. Anyway, go on.
And for me, I have a 119 to 153 record,
Oh, what's that?
and that
That's a lot lower
that
than 48.
that puts it to 43.8.
Boy.
So yeah, not the best numbers. There's still mathematically a chance that I catch up to you. I need to get like 11 wins over you. So
You need
technically,
to have a
if you have
13
a
and 3 win.
very yeah, I need no better than that. I need to have like a 14 to 3 week to tie it.
Oh, gosh.
That's going to be very feasible, I feel like. So yeah, we're going to sort of rapid fire through most of them since a lot of these don't
You know
really
what,
have
Alex? I want to
like
give you
any
a
playoff
chance to come
implications.
back. I want to give you a chance to come
No,
back.
not the same thing as last year,
I
Angelo.
want to give you a chance so you can pick every game, and I will be on the opposite end. I will not put any biases in any of this.
I do want to know your actual thoughts on the games. So let's say
Okay,
this.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's
Let's
fine.
let's say this. Let's say this. We do the actual the usual thing. So I pick one game, you pick another. After I pick, you can then switch up your pick on your side if you want.
Fine. 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 Fine.
Okay.
Fine. Deal.
Okay. So the listeners also need to know what you think, actually, not just going against me for the sake of it. Although that has worked fairly good. So maybe that's what you guys need to do. Just pick against me every single game.
If you
But
want to win
okay,
money, yeah.
if you want to win money. Okay, so this starts with the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens.
This is the
The Ravens,
largest line I think I've seen in a while, maybe this whole year.
I feel like that's actually correct as well.
I don't know if I've seen a bigger line than this, Alex.
Yeah, so this line is like 18 and a half right now. The Ravens are 18 and a half point favorites.
Oh no.
God knows who the Cleveland Browns will start. I've read that it was Bailey Zappi, but both guys might play. Bailey Zappi, I believe that's the 48 QB they've started since like 1990 something. So that's
Oh,
just
man.
great numbers. Go Cleveland. Um, so I don't think Baltimore has anything to fight for anymore here. Or no, I think no, yeah, because they lost one of the games to Pittsburgh, right? So they still have that to fight for. So I feel like they're probably going to play something here. So give me the Ravens minus 18 and a half, I guess. Fuck it.
I think I'm still going with the Browns. 18 and a half is a bunch of fucking points. I
It
think
is.
even if I wasn't going against you, I would still go with the 18 and a half. You're talking like the Ravens need to score like 35 points because if the Ravens don't get to 35, the Browns literally just need to score like 7 to cover this pretty much.
I
Like
feel like the Ravens offense can get 21 easily enough, and then Bailey Zappi will get you 14.
this guy. So I don't know. I think granted, I guess the Browns really don't have any more fight them. 3-13, they really don't have the number one
No,
pick.
right now the Patriots are in the lead and they control their own destiny. Like even if it is a tiebreaker, they have the tiebreaker over everyone.
How do you have the tiebreaker over everyone in sucking?
Ask the Patriots, I guess. If they lose,
Okay,
they have the number one overall pick.
okay. Anyway, Bengals, Steelers. Uh, I just get flashbacks back to the time that we gave the 40 points to the Steelers and still lost after getting a pick six to start the game. Um, I do think it's a must win for the Bengals, so I am going to pick the Bengals. I just don't see like if the Bengals lose this game, there's going to be clips of Joe Burrow just yelling at everyone. I hope you know that.
Hmm. Hey,
I hope you know
I'm down
that.
for that. I do agree with you, and I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals as well. I feel
Steelers,
like
I
they
go.
win this game. Yeah,
All right.
so you just flip it to the Steelers. But yeah, I do think that the Bengals have to win this game. He's on a mission. They need to win every single
Yeah,
game left just to have a chance. That's
this
what I
is the
think
only
will
game
happen.
left.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, but they've needed to win the game since like 3 weeks ago, basically.
yeah.
They needed to run the
Since
gauntlet.
basically I told you to let the season die. Basically, that yeah,
Yeah, and they have actually won every single game since that point,
yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
not
Yeah.
mistaken.
They have. It's honestly
So
kind of depressing.
you are basically the Hawkeye gif in which he's like that scene from the last Avengers movie, in which like they're looking at you and you're like, "Don't give me hope," and they are holding you. They're saying, "Angelo, I wish I would have given it to you
Oh
sooner."
no.
Now let's see if they actually are actually giving you more than hope. If they're actually getting you to the playoffs. Okay, next up, it's the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 8.5 point favorites. If they
Before
win
I
this
got some
game,
breaking news. I don't know how I
what?
feel. How do you feel about this? This is a team that's near and dear to your heart, friend. Mike Vrabel has an interview with the New York Jets,
Well, fuck the Jets, I guess.
according to Ian Rappaport.
Um, Ever since they did my boy Zach Wilson wrong, it's just fuck the Jets.
Okay, go on with your
Hey,
point.
what was their record last year with Zach Wilson in charge?
I don't know. Wasn't it like 8-9 or something like that?
I think it was 7-10.
Seven
So
and ten.
they were what? 5 wins better. No, wait, they were 3 wins better than the current 4-12 Jets
Yeah. They did
with
say
my
that
boy Zach Wilson.
with your boy Zach Wilson.
Okay, the Carolina Panthers at Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta are 8.5 point favorites. If they do win this game, they will make the playoffs. Because they do have the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay. They won both games versus Tampa Bay. So I feel like they win this game. I don't know if it's by 8.5 points. Like Penix is kind of weird right now. We didn't get to talk about this, but like
Penix came
Cousins
in, yeah.
actually did get benched. It's been the Michael Penix show. Penix has had good moments, bad moments. I feel like the coaching staff lost him last week's game versus the Washington Commanders. Um, so yeah, kind of a mixed bag. I think I like him, but I don't know. I think we
I
need to see
actually
that more.
I actually unironically like the Panthers here. I think Bryce Young has been playing a lot better, and I think a chance to ruin the Atlanta Falcons season is just like chef's kiss to end the Panthers season and would just give them even more things to think about going into the NFL draft in the offseason. So I do think the Panthers are going to win this game, and I'm picking the Panthers.
Okay, so you're going with me with the Panthers. By the way,
Oh,
if the
and then switch to Atlanta. Sorry, go on.
yeah no, if the Falcons do win this game, they would need Tampa Bay to lose. I forgot to mention that. I think I said they win and they're in. No, that would be the case if they didn't lose versus the Washington Commanders last week. Now they actually need Tampa Bay to lose, so they do not control
Gotcha.
their own fate, but they need to get the win to have any
Yep.
chance. Okay,
So Commanders at Cowboys. Cowboys. I can't believe this. Commanders are only favored by 3.5 points. Is Dak back or something?
no, but I wouldn't be surprised if Washington is benching someone
Sitting,
because, but they are playing for
yeah, okay.
seeding technically.
Well, yeah, but so were the Rams, but they're sitting everyone. So,
Yeah, but they really
um,
wouldn't move all that much because they're always the fourth seed, if I'm not mistaken. Washington could move to the sixth, from the seventh to the sixth seed, if I'm not mistaken. They would need a win and a Packers loss. I think
gotcha.
that's it.
Yeah, because the Eagles have 2 games. Okay, anyway. Um, ooh, I actually don't know what I want to go here. Okay, I like upsets week 18, so I'm going with Dallas. I'm going with Dallas.
Hmm.
The
I feel
Commanders
like
have also been very shaky, where they look like world beaters and then they'll look like one of the worst teams in the NFL the next week. So I do have a sneaky suspicion Dallas is actually going to win this game somehow because that would be so Cowboys. It's a 1 o'clock game. It's not televised. Yeah, this is like a prime Cowboys winning.
I I don't know. I think that I agree with you because the Commanders have been getting away with it quite a bit recently. Like the win versus the Eagles, despite any like 5 turnovers in that game. The win versus the Atlanta Falcons because of Raheem Morris losing the Falcons the game. I feel like all of that is true, but I still think they keep getting away with it. They are one of those teams that like I don't know. I just feel good about them. I just
I
feel
don't.
like in the end they tend to figure something out. Like they don't inspire the utmost trust in me, but I feel like they are a team of destiny, sort of like five that I'm getting from them. So give me the Commanders -3.5. I feel like this team could make noise in the playoffs. I feel like it's either they make some noise in the playoffs, they win a couple games, and they actually like are a team that people are afraid of, or they just get blown the absolute doors out of open out of them. So I feel like it's either one thing or another. There's no in between. They're either great or fucking terrible. So
Yeah, that's right. It's been great more than it has been terrible, but
yeah, but I just feel like some of those wins are quite fraudulent. I'm not gonna lie.
oh, are they? So who's more fraudulent, the Commanders or the Eagles?
Well, technically, people expect more from the Eagles since the Eagles did win the division, are 2 wins better. So I would say the Eagles are more fraudulent than the Commanders. If they had the same record, I would say they're equally as fraudulent. No,
That's fair. So you went Commanders?
I went Commanders, so all stays good in that one. You went Dallas.
Okay.
Okay, next up, the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. Packers 9.5 point favorite. Again, they are facing the Commanders for seeding, so they technically need the swing somewhat. It's the Packers, it's the Chicago Bears, led by Thomas Brown, who was like the offensive pass coordinator, like I don't know, 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago. Like the team has been an absolute mess since it took over. Just give me the Packers.
I 1000% agree with you, but I have to go the Bears here. But no, I've never liked picking the Bears. I've basically this whole season. And I think so behind the curtain, I asked Austin if he wanted to come on for today's show just to talk about how shitty the Bears have been in the season Caleb has had. And he said he wanted to, but he had stuff to do today, so he couldn't be here. But I do think just the way the Bears season has gone is not the way that it was expected to go with Caleb at the helm. Even if you didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, I don't think you projected them to be as bad as they were this year, especially with the improvements they made both on the defensive side and the commitment they made with the offensive weapons. No. Like you
At,
can sit here and say like, oh well, you did it was his rookie season. Did you? They expected more. They
at
they
the end
they
of the
made it look
day,
like they expected more.
we sat here, we hyped them up a bit.
Yep.
Um, at the end of
That's
the
one of the
day,
things. That's one of the things I rallied against. Is I think the price for the Bears players was too much. I think that it was already caped in at the potential. The price was already caped in about them reaching their potential, and there was no like room for them to be bad or for that hit to miss. I think it missed pretty big for a lot of players.
so and so. I think I would agree with you. In generality. Now, I would say that DJ Moore, despite all of this, still finished as wide receiver 17. I know his ADP was a bit higher than that. Keenan Allen finished what? Keenan Allen finished inside of the top 34. I believe he was wide receiver 33. Now, that was propelled by like two no, like four 20 plus points weeks in like the last 6 games of the year. Six games of the year. So hey, I mean, if you were in the playoffs, he probably helped you. Because he did have 20 and 29 points in the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. So they ended up being okay in terms of value. DJ Murray probably lost a bit. Keenan Allen, you probably gained a bit. And Roma Dunze was much like the JSN from year one, a bit of a roller coaster. He finished around wide receiver 50, had a couple boom games, but mostly irrelevant. So it was what we discussed. Now, when we were sitting here and we talked about the Bears and the improvement that they made, the one big issue that we have was still the coaching, was still Eberflus not being fired when the rest of the team was,
Yep.
when the rest of the coaching staff was. I
Did
mean, it
Eberflus
comes
get
back to
fired? Did I
Malcolm.
miss that, or is he still in the building?
He got fired a while back, dude. He got fired like on week 6 or 7. I believe he was the second coach fired.
Oh, really? Who's the first? I'm trying to remember the
Robert Saleh.
Robert Sal. Oh yeah,
Saleh
because he wanted to.
to can God damn it, the
Offensive
pet of
coordinator.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
offensive
pet of Aaron
coordinator. You want
Rodgers.
to take play calling from him, from Hackett.
Yeah,
Hackett.
Hackett,
Yeah,
Hackett, and Hackett him.
he did.
So there you go. But yeah, no more Eberflus. So now it's that weird dynamic in which you're getting a new coach in, and the new coach has to work with the guy from the previous regime. Now, if they struggle next year, like the coach is less inclined to try and want to work things out with Caleb and just get fired with a guy that wasn't his. So he maybe tries and pushes the blame into Caleb, tries and get Caleb away from the team. So it's much of the same thing that happened with Fields. That's why I have the issue with Eberflus being kept. Because
What if
if things
Vrabel
did go
gets the Bears
south,
job?
I feel like that's an okay hiring.
I do too.
Maybe Pete Carroll is probably the better hiring because that name was floated around a bit a
Mhm.
couple of weeks ago or during the Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. His name was floated around a bit. I feel like that's probably a better match. But Vrabel would probably be good as well.
Yeah, I think either of you. All right. Anyway,
Okay,
we
you're
went
up.
sidebars up to the. Oh my fucking god! I have to do this one. There is no right call. The fucking Jaguars at the Colts, the two. Honestly, just the AFC South was the most disappointing team in the NFL. That's how I feel. Um, God, the the Colts are favored by 5.5 points. I don't like either team. I'm gonna say the Colts reluctantly because I do think the Jaguars have just been like next level bad, but there's no confidence in that. You want my suggestion? Don't pick on this game. That's my suggestion. Go
It's
on, Alex.
probably what you need to do. I am gonna go with the Jags though. I feel like Flacco, they are they have nothing to play for. They're starting Flacco. The team looks like they're completely playing for themselves. And there doesn't seem to be a team at all in there. So I don't know what sort of
They're seven.
effort
Remember
they're going to
we
put
did.
forward.
We do need to review our predictions. Where we were right, where we were wrong. But do you remember when I said like I looked at the schedule and I don't see how they could get less than like 8 or 9 wins? And right now they're sitting at 7 and 9.
Hey, they can
It's just
still get
bad.
the 8 wins. So you would technically be right.
Oh man, this is just it's bad. It's bad.
Okay, next up we have the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. Patriots are 2.5 point underdogs in this game, so this is the Bills resting everyone. Basically, they're not playing for anything. The Patriots are apparently trying to lose, I would guess. Probably try and get the first overall pick. But since it is the Patriots and they don't seem to need a QB, actually, I wouldn't be shocked if they actually go out and try to play for win. I mean, we know that these teams don't purposely tank. Like the players in that locker room, they're playing for jobs. The coaches are playing for the
Oh,
jobs.
man.
I feel like
I don't think the
they're
coaches are
not
playing
in
for
this to
the
lose
job.
it. Yeah, maybe.
You're
I don't
talking
know.
about
I don't know.
you're talking about one of the most patient organizations. I don't think Mayo's getting fired regardless of what
They
happens.
were super patient with Belichick. For sure. Guy won them like 6 Super Bowls. And after 3 bad-ish years, he got canned. Yeah, super patient. For sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, give me the Patriots plus 2.5, I think.
Okay. I actually are the Bills sitting everyone.
They are sitting mostly everyone. They're sitting Josh Allen. They're sitting a couple big hitters on defense. They're sitting James Cook, if I'm not mistaken. So it is like they're just resting the starters.
They're still favored, Alex.
They're still favorites. So the B squad of the Bills is better than the A
The
squad of the
the
Patriots. Is what you're saying.
actual New England Patriots. You went with the Patriots.
I want the Patriots.
I still think the Bills win. I think
Hey,
I
they
get
can
what you're
win by
saying. I
two.
get what you're saying. Like I get what you're saying. Like they, never give up, but they'd be stupid not to secure the number one pick. I'm sorry. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. We say that, but then the Texans, when they didn't secure the number overall pick, that turned out pretty great for them. I guess most people would say so, at least.
Not Alex. Not
Not
Alex.
Alex. Well, technically, it ended up better than the Panthers who got Bryce Young, I would say. Um, let's wait and see on that one as well. Wouldn't
This
it be
guy.
just a great story if Bryce is actually turns out to be better than Stroud after that first year and a half?
That would actually kind of be funny. Not go. You never know.
There's
That's
like
the
this random Carolina Panthers on the Dynasty Fantasy Football subreddit, where like every time that CJ Stroud struggles, he just goes out there and he just posts us the stats in which he's struggling or the game in which he's struggling, and it's fun because like his username is alluring to Bryce Young, and he's the Panthers fan. So there's very clearly an agenda in there in which he's just pushing the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud conversation and getting back at the probably the amount of great banter that he got thrown at him last year and to start this year, and he's now getting some payback. So that's kind of fun in that regard.
next
I'm rooting
game.
for the dude.
Good.
Go on.
You're rooting for who?
I'm rooting for the guy, for Bryce Young, and for the Panthers guy on Reddit. Go Panthers guy.
Go Pan. Next game is the Giants and the Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 3.5. I actually do think because the Eagles aren't really playing for anything, right? They got the second seed and they
No, They are set.
Yep, they're set. I'm going with the Giants. I think the Giants are going to win this game. I do think Malik Neighbors is actually
That would be a
good enough
very
to win.
Giants thing to do.
It would.
Win the last 2 games of the year and go from like number one pick to number 6 or 7.
It would.
And I think I'm gonna go with the Giants as well.
All right, to
Plus
Eagles
three
I
and a
go.
half.
Hi ho, hi ho. All right.
Time for you to flip.
Yep.
Okay, so next up it's the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay
Oh
Buccaneers. The
man.
Buccaneers are 13.5 point favorites. The Saints are probably starting Rattler again. No Kamara, I think. No Kendra Miller, I think. Chris Olave maybe plays. I don't really see the point in playing. But I guess it's not 100% set. I also just got the notification that Derek Carr is out this week, so surprise, surprise. Buccaneers need to win to make sure they're in the playoffs. Give me the Buccaneers minus 13.5.
I actually do think the Saints are going to win this, or not win this, but cover this unironically. I don't think, uh, because Baker has been great, but he's also turned the ball over a lot, and that's led to easy point opportunities on the other end. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I just like the Bucks with high point margins. That's my thing. That's just my thing. Like 14 points, pretty much. That's a pretty big point margin, man.
I feel like they're the most volatile team of the bunch in the playoffs, even more than the Packers. I feel like when they go, they can put like 40 on your head. No point, no issue. But they also very turnover prone. The defense has their issues. Um, so, but impressive season by the Bucks nonetheless.
Yeah, no, we're not. And next game, Texans at Titans. I'm guessing the Texans are resting everyone.
They are probably resting everyone as they are at the bottom of the playoff seeds. Like this team being 9-7 and in the fourth seed versus the NFC, who will have a team with 14 wins as the fifth seed. That's fun.
They are Titans favored by 1.5 points. I think I actually am going to go the Titans here. I think
Will Levis is back.
I don't think he'll be back after this game.
No, that ship has sailed, but he is starting this game. Because it's Will Levis and it's not Mason Rudolph, which kind of a weird sentence. I will go with the Texans plus 1.5. Okay, next up, the San Francisco 49ers without Brock Purdy, if I'm not mistaken, versus the Arizona Cardinals without James Conner. So it's the Niners at Cardinals. Cardinals are 1.5 point underdogs in this game. I think they win this game straight up. So give me the Cardinals plus 1.5.
Yeah, I'd still go with the 49ers. I think that
Oh, now they're turning it around. Maybe they can still make the playoffs. Angelo. They're turning it around at any moment right now. I'm sure. Like I was promised that they were going to turn this around at any moment. So maybe this is the moment, and then they go on a playoff run, right?
yeah, totally. They just need like
Okay,
5 more weeks. They just need 5 more weeks.
okay.
Just trust me, bro. Just
Okay,
trust me, bro.
breaking news: the NFL just announced that they're playing another 10 weeks this of regular season. So the Niners have a chance.
Yes, they've always had a chance.
This number is not good for you to see.
Oh man, is everyone starting?
What?
Is everyone on this Chiefs starting? What are they playing for?
They are playing for nothing. I'm not sure if you're seeing the minus and the plus correctly.
Oh,
So,
I'm not. I'm not. Okay. Okay. I for sure. Okay. The Broncos at the Chiefs. The Broncos are favored by 10.5, not the Chiefs. Okay. Okay. Um, are the Broncos playing for anything other than seeding? Oh no, they have to win this game. They
they
have to win
have
this
to
game to
win
get
this
in. Winning
game
the game, winning they're in. That's right.
unless the Bengals lose and
Yeah.
the Miami Dolphins lose. But the Dolphins play at the same time as the Broncos.
Right, right, right. I actually think I'm gonna go with Denver here. I don't think their defense is gonna let Kansas City win. Uh, that's me.
How do you feel knowing that in the last week of the season, your fate is on Carson Wentz winning a game?
I thought the season was over weeks ago, bro. This is house money. Like,
Yeah, whatever happens, happens, right?
yeah, whatever happens, happens. Oh, and Alex is now gone. Good job, Alex. Good job. We are going to stop there. All right, but anyway, yeah, no, the Bengals are playing with house money for me for weeks now. So
So you're you're
I don't,
you're
I,
you do
I
not
have
have
no
the
feelings. I have no feelings. My feelings already got hurt. They got hurt when we lost to the Ravens twice, the Chargers and the Steelers. And like, no, there's no feeling left in my arm. I'm like Josh Allen. I'm Josh Allen.
you're like Josh Allen.
That's not what I expected to hear.
Yeah. Yep, I'm like Josh Allen.
I do have some faith. I'm not gonna lie. I do have some faith. I think Wentz is playing for something here. Like people forget that Wentz was actually like an MVP candidate. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna say that they're going to try and stick it to the Broncos and try and actually win this game for you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna go with KC plus 10.5.
Let's see, plus 10. Okay, so you're just full sending the Bengals into the playoffs is what you're doing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying because I'm also saying
I don't
that
want
the
to see it
Miami
anymore.
Dolphins. No, no, I feel like you guys have a chance. There's like something here that I believe in. So, and because of that, I'm also
Oh,
saying that the next game, Miami Dolphins at the New York Football Jets. The Jets are 1.5 point underdogs, and I think the Jets are gonna win this game. Give me the Jets plus 1.5. Tyler Huntley
is
going in
Tua
the
playing?
cold versus the Jets. No, it's Tyler Huntley this week.
Oh, I actually didn't agree with you then. I'm not gonna lie. Tyler Hunt. I thought it was Tua playing. No. No, I
So your
agree.
fate in the playoffs is decided by Carson Wentz.
It is.
What a ride.
Great. It's not a ride. The ride's over. The ride
Yeah,
was
okay.
giving up 30. The ride was giving up 40 points to the Steelers, losing when we scored 70 points, losing both games when we scored over 70 points combined against the Ravens. You missed the ride, Alex. The ride's over. Like I'm already out the line. I'm already getting food at the concession stand. You're still like, oh yeah, no, the ride's been over. Ride's been over.
It's been Jover.
Yep.
All right.
Um,
So you're
Chargers
going with
at
Miami, but you
yeah,
believe in the Jets.
the Jets, yeah. Chargers at Vegas. Once again, Chargers. You said it earlier. Chargers are really good against the shitty teams, but struggle against the good ones. Don't overthink it. Chargers.
Um, I don't think they're playing for anything though.
No, they're not. But you know what? That Jim Harbaugh is their coach, and he's a psycho. So I'm
That
sure
is
there's some
true.
pride.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chargers. If there's a team that is really playing for nothing, it's the Raiders. I guess give me the Chargers minus 5.5. So that means you flip. You go to the Raiders.
Okay, to the Raiders I go. Hi ho, it's to the Raiders I
Okay.
go.
My last game, it's the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. Seahawks are unfortunately eliminated from the playoffs because the Rams had the tiebreaker on strength of
Uh-huh.
schedule.
Damn straight they
So
did.
it is what it is. It's over
No,
nine
no,
and
no,
seven.
no. You don't even have like the Cinderella scenario where like if this team loses and this team loses and you don't even have that.
I needed the Commanders to lose last week, and then I would have the Cinderella scenario, which would be like I would need to win the game, and then there would need to be like 8 teams that would need to lose. 8 good teams that would need to lose, by the way, because our record versus good teams is quite shitty. So we would need the good teams that the Rams beat. We would need them to absolutely stink it up. So that Cinderella scenario would be fun to track. But no, since the Commanders won, that's over. Regardless, though, the Rams are sitting mostly everyone from what I'm seeing, the relevant guys. So I'm gonna go with Seattle, one last win. Just sort of trying to stick it up to the Rams, uh, like a toddler. Finish 10-6 and miss the playoffs would be fun.
Yeah. So you went with the Rams?
No, Seattle, ten
Oh,
and
okay, then
six,
I can go with the
missing
Rams.
the
The
playoffs.
Rams is who I was gonna go with anyway. Like
Okay.
I just had no faith in the Seahawks. Rams all day. I know you even though you called Matthew Stafford one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, you somehow had no faith in him all year.
I
So
have no
that
faith
that that was
on the
that was out
team.
of all the takes, that was one.
Uh,
Now this is the hard one. The Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. This is for the 1 seed in the NFC. The Lions are favored by 2.5. This is basically saying it's a pick 'em game. Ugh. So like there's like two things at play here for me. One, the Lions defense is just like banged up to hell. The Vikings defense is one of the best in the NFL. But for some reason, voodoo magic is just working for the Lions. I think I have to go to the Lions here to get the 1 seed.
I do agree. I am gonna go with the Lions. I feel like the Lions are the best team in the NFC.
Voodoo
They
magic.
deserve this, and I just feel like they're gonna get it. They're gonna get the first seed. They're gonna get the bye. Um, and I don't necessarily think that it will be because like the Vikings are gonna be terrible or Sam Darnold is gonna suck or anything like that. I just think like the Lions are a better team, honestly.
I agree with you.
So that's you flipping.
Yeah, I know.
Off
I
to the
already went the
Vikings
Vikings.
you go.
Yep.
Okay. So that's it. That's week 18 in the books. Um, we went across a few things from the past few weeks. We went across a few things from just what we learned this season in general, fantasy, actual NFL wise. Is there anything else that we need to have?
The Bengals season is over. Just say it's over.
It is not over
Oh
until
my
it's over.
God.
So I'm still gonna be
Oh.
championing for you guys. I believe in wins. Let's get that win, Wentz. Let's get that
I
win.
believe in Wentz. We haven't heard that in like a decade.
Well, you know that I always liked Wentz, sort of. So we're back in it. They gave up on you way too soon back in Philadelphia.
My God, dude.
This wouldn't be the first time that we saw like the backup from KC coming in and actually playing well. Like remember Chad Henne and all of those guys.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just don't think the Chiefs have any incentive to want the Bengals in the play.
Hey, but it's also a divisional opponent. You also don't want them in the playoffs. So that's always kind of messed up,
You
right?
want them over the Bengals.
Hmm. I know. I feel like the Broncos could be enough, a sneaky enough pick to actually make some noise in the playoffs. The Broncos.
Maybe.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No.
No? Okay. So I guess we're just signing off. Next week, maybe 2 shows, maybe 1 show. We'll see.
Sure, yeah. Play
Let's
this
not
cool.
overcommit. Let's say for
We're
sure a
just getting
show.
back.
Let's say for sure a show, and we go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Sorry for missing 2 weeks, but shit happens, you
That
know.
happens.
It
Yeah.
happens. So, but we're back now. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you're still in that side tuning in and you haven't given up on us. Because we're still here. We're still kicking and we're still delivering new shows for the NFL. Playoffs are starting soon. Enjoy week 18. It's probably the best week in terms of if you want to do anything outside of this. Just pay not a whole lot of attention to the games. Just enjoy the week off from football, I guess, because a lot of these games are sort of meaningless. And just come back for the playoffs ready. No need to worry about fantasy football. Hope you guys won your leagues if you were in any championships. I know I did. This guy did. Angela also won one. And Austin
Did.
also won one. So
He
this is
did.
just the team of champions around here. This
Yep.
is what we do.
Group
Group of champions.
of
So yeah, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. As I used to say last year, um, if you're listening to this on the Spotify app, on the Apple Podcast app, wherever you really listen to your podcast, just make sure to leave us a comment, give us a 5-star review, turn on the auto downloads, really helps out the show. If you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Just like, subscribe, all of those good things. This show is probably over 2 hours, so you're probably not gonna be on YouTube with this one. So screw you, YouTube guys, I guess. And yeah,
Damn.
talk to you guys again next week. Enjoy football, enjoy the little bit of time
Playoffs.
off and the playoffs coming up. So yeah, have a good one, guys. Bye.
Peace, guys.